Most people trying to lose weight are simply just doing the wrong things. So in this video, I'm gonna roast in a positive and loving way 3 of my followers' weight loss plans so that you watching this can know what not to do when you're trying to lose weight. And if you want to submit your weight loss plan and what you're doing to be roasted by me in a loving way on this channel, click the link in the description below to fill out the form for a free review. Now, let's dive into the first submission. And we have our guy, David here. So David is a 23-year-old male. He's currently weighing 93 kgs. And so for those of us in the US, that is about 205 pounds. And he wants to get down to 85 kg, which I believe is 185 pounds, roughly. He's currently getting above 8,000 steps per day, which is great because that is one of the most underrated fat loss tools you can do is hit your daily steps. So that's already off to a good start, David. He is tracking his calories, hitting about 2,100 calories per day with 165 grams of protein per day. Now, going through a day's worth of eating here, he eats relatively healthy. You can see his breakfast is high protein. His lunch and dinner is typically pretty high protein. His snacks look to be high protein. So you might be thinking, well, damn, this guy's already doing a lot of good things. He is. But there's something he's struggling with, which he feels like he's not eating enough food. So he's finding himself snacking a lot throughout the day. And he also wants to make sure I give honest criticism. Well, David, that is what we do here on this channel. And that is what we do in my coaching program. So I will go ahead and do that for you. So like I said, first things first, doing a great job of eating healthy and eating high protein. I think I know why you are having trouble snacking though, and it's 2 main reasons. Number 1, everybody focuses on the amount of protein you're eating per day, which is important. But what you don't hear a lot is the most underrated nutrient that people don't focus on for weight loss, and that's fiber. Fiber is important because I want you to think of your stomach like a bowl. As a matter of fact, give me a second. Let's imagine this bowl is your stomach. When you eat fiber, it goes into your stomach and it actually expands in your stomach. This is really beneficial if you're trying to stay full and if you're trying to not snack, because the more fiber you have, the more full your stomach is, the less you will snack. So that's why I believe, especially here at breakfast, David, while you are eating a lot of high protein options, I think we should work in some fiber. Now, how do we work in this fiber? Could be many ways. Some of my favorite high fiber foods and the way I hit my fiber in the morning is I will do raspberries, blackberries, chia seeds, oats. Those are a couple of my staples that are lower calorie, but higher in fiber. So if, let's say, for example, David here wanted to throw in some Greek yogurt with chia seeds, raspberries, and blackberries. From that alone, number 1, it would be low calorie, but number 2, he would easily hit 10 to 15 grams of fiber from that alone, which I believe would make a massive difference for the rest of his day. A lot of people struggle and think, oh, well, I snack at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and they think it's because of the 2, 3, 4 p.m. It's not. It's because of what you're doing or what you're not doing earlier in the day. So get some fiber at breakfast, David, you'll be good. Now, the second thing here is with your lunch, I also think we should work in some fiber here. And it sounds like you have some potatoes, which they do have fiber, but you say mainly rice with some protein, which again, isn't bad, but I would love to see us work in some fiber, preferably in the form of some sort of vegetable. And this is where the second tip is going to be able to come in for you. So again, we're going to think about your stomach as a bowl. There is something called low calorie, high volume foods. And this is essentially where you are able to eat a lot of food for not a lot of calories. And again, if we think about your stomach being this bowl, you will fill your stomach up with food, but you won't eat a lot of calories. So you can still stick to your calorie deficit that you need to stick to in order to lose body fat, but you will fill your stomach up more, even more so combined with the fiber, with these low calorie, high volume foods. Now, what are the low calorie, high volume foods? These are things like strawberries, watermelon, green vegetables, spinach, lettuce, kale, broccoli. These are things like zucchini. These are things like cauliflower rice, regular cauliflower. You could easily Google low calorie, high volume foods if you want to check out a massive list. But if you throw in some of those at lunch, you will fill your stomach up more, and combined with the fiber you had earlier, combined with the fiber you're going to have at lunch, combined with those low calorie, high volume foods, now your stomach is going to be incredibly full. And you'll still be within your calorie goal that you need to in order to lose fat. So that is the second thing I would encourage you to do with your nutrition to help you continue to stick to that calorie deficit. And the last thing I would say, you didn't mention it here, but I do want to go ahead and mention it now. Take a look at your water intake as well. A lot of times people are snacking throughout the day because they think they're hungry or their body feels like they're lacking something. And that hunger or those urges to eat is oftentimes just dehydration masked as hunger. So make sure you're drinking enough water. Typically speaking, you want to get half of your body weight in ounces of water per day. So David here is roughly 200 pounds. So that means roughly try to get 100 ounces of water per day. And I would try to get at least 50 ounces by lunch. Because again, if you wait until later in the day, it's going to be harder for you to not have those snacking, craving urges. Try to get it earlier in the day, and that should help, David. All right? Okay, now that we covered David, we're going to cover our next submission, which is Britt. And by the way, if you are wanting to put your name and your plan up here that I can look over to fix for you, there'll be a link below for a free review. I can't guarantee you'll get picked, but you just might. So click that link and fill it out. All right, let's go into Britt here. So Britt is a 37-year-old female. She's weighing about 175 and wants to get down to 160. She also is continuously getting over 8,000 steps per day, which is great. She's consistently tracking her calories, about 17 to 1,800, 120 grams of protein per day. And as you can see here, her typical day of eating is looking incredibly healthy, incredibly lean. She's drinking the water. She's doing all the things. Her issue is she feels like she's at a standstill with her body fat and her fat loss. She finally reached the 170s in May of this year, and I'm filming this in October of this year. And she's been ranging around the same couple of pounds. She's not losing weight. She also says down here, she recently increased her calories from 1,550 to 1,600 to 17 to 18 in hopes of recomping the last 10-pound weight loss. And by the way, if I look different, the sun just, I guess, absolutely came out of behind a cloud and it's just hitting me directly in the face. So if it looks a little bit different, I apologize. But I want to talk about this right here. Anybody who tells you that you need to increase your calories to lose weight just has no clue what they're talking about. And let me explain why. For you to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You need to be eating less calories than what your body is burning per day. So with that being said, why would you eat more calories to get into a calorie deficit and lose weight? The only time this works, and I'm going to try to explain this the best I can. The only time this works is when, number one, you aren't being consistent with the amount of calories that is your goal. So for example, let's say her goal was 1,400 calories per day. And maybe she was eating that 2, 3, 4 days a week. But then by the time the weekend rolls around, she's going out to eat, she's overeating because she's hungry and she's restricted. So throughout the course of the week, she would actually be eating 2,000 calories on average per day. She wouldn't be eating 1,400 calories because she's overeating on the weekends. So sometimes if you increase your calories to say 1,600, 1,700, you can be more consistent with that all 7 days. And then throughout the weekly period of time, you'd actually eat less calories by eating more calories per day. Does that make sense? Because you're not having the overeating episodes, so your weekly calories would actually be lower. So that would work, but it's also you still eating less calories than what you would because you need to eat less calories to lose weight. So I don't think you need to increase your calories, no. And here's the brutally honest truth, Britt and everybody else who wants to do this. You said you want to recomp to lose the last 10 pounds. So for those of you who don't know, recomp means lose fat and build muscle at the same time. That's what a recomposition means. If you want to lose the last 10 pounds, it's gonna suck. Like, I don't know what else to say. Anybody who's followed me for an extended period of time, you know I always say this, the last 10 pounds are just simply not worth it to lose. Because what are you gonna have to do, Britt? You're gonna have to decrease your calories even more, and you're gonna have to increase your cardio even more. Because you're going to have to create a calorie deficit again. If you are stalled out, you are not in a calorie deficit right now. So the calories that you're eating, the energy that is coming in, and the energy that is going out is not putting you in a calorie deficit. So you have to decrease your intake and increase your output. This is why losing the last 10 pounds is incredibly difficult. And quite frankly, I just don't think it's worth it. Also, because of this, you think you need to lose 10 more pounds to look the way you want to look. You losing 10 more pounds is not going to help you look the way you want to look. You want to know why? Because for you to look the way you want to look, you need to build more muscle definition. It doesn't matter how much more weight on the scale you lose if you don't have the lean muscle mass that is necessary to build the toned, defined look that you're going for. It won't matter. You could lose all the weight in the world and still not look the way you want to look. So I don't think you need to lose 10 more pounds. I think with where you're at, you most likely need to build a little bit more muscle to have you look the way you want to look. So what would I do if I was in your situation, Britt? I would probably do a maybe 3 to 6 week cut. So a 3 to 6 week calorie deficit. You're going to have to take your calories a bit lower, and you can use my free calorie calculator in the description of this video. It'll tell you exactly how many calories to eat. It's the same calculator that I use with our online coaching clients. So you can click that link below to use that. It's probably going to put you around that 1450 to 1550 mark. So you'll probably have to decrease your calories, and you'll probably have to increase your cardio for about 3 to 6 weeks. From there, you will drop some body fat, but what's really the most important is after those 3 to 6 weeks, increase your calories, go back up to your maintenance calories, start having better workouts, start pushing yourself more, start building more muscle. From the more calories, your body will actually fill out, your muscles will have more glycogen, so they will look more defined and more toned, and then you'll actually start looking the way you want to look. So that is how I would approach this situation for you, Britt, and everybody else. Cool? Cool. Let's dive into the next submission we have. And this submission is coming from our guy, Deshawn. Deshawn is a 33-year-old male. He is currently weighing 328 pounds. He wants to get down to about 270 pounds. He is currently getting 8,000 plus steps a day, which again, that's incredible. So kudos to you. His calories are 1,200 to 1,450, and his protein is 90 to 110. And off the bat, this kind of stands out to me as being just too low. But I want to throw a little bit of a caveat in here because he used to weigh 388 pounds. So while I don't love the amount of calories that you're eating or the amount of protein you're eating, I will say 388 pounds is not healthy. There is a lot of potential health risk that come along with that. So it's not the most efficient way to do this, but the fact that you're getting down to a more healthier body weight, that is very important. So I'm not overly concerned about it. I don't think it's sustainable long term, but I do want you to get down to a healthy weight. So that being said, the other issue I'm seeing here is, he's eating, it sounds like 1 meal a day. And then he goes to bed because he works overnight. So the other issue I'm seeing with this combined with the low calories is he's only doing cardio. So Deshawn, you are 100% losing muscle mass, which again, being 388 pounds, we want you to get down to a healthy body weight. So I'm not going to sit here and say this is inherently a bad thing. You're walking a ton, which is great, but we do not want you to continue losing muscle mass. So the first thing I would do here is I would implement even just 1 or 2 days a week of strength training. Doesn't have to be intense, doesn't have to be a lot. Even 15 to 30 minutes of a strength training program, 1, 2, 3 times a week would help you not lose muscle mass. So that would be important and very critical. So I'd start doing that immediately. If you need, a workout program to follow, there's going to be a link in the description of this video to check out my app that I have that has workouts in there. Or again, you can look into our personalized one-on-one online coaching as well. So links will be in the description for that. But on top of that, after we implement some strength training, I would love to see you increase your daily protein intake as well. And this could be simply just from having 1 to 2 protein shakes per day. And you can buy these from the store. This is my brand and the company I work with in my flavor. If you want to try it out, I'll put the link in the description below as well. But just get some sort of protein, whether it's from protein shakes, whether it's Greek yogurt, whether it's an extra protein snack, beef jerky, tuna packet. I don't care how you get the protein. But if we can get our protein up to at least 150 grams per day, that would also help you not lose muscle mass, which is important for keeping your metabolism high. It's important for your overall health, like bone density. We talked about metabolism. So I'd love to see those 2 changes come to fruition. I know you recently added the protein shake, which is great. So maybe just add 1 more or, throw in a high protein snack there as well to get that protein intake up. So that plus lifting weights will help. And the last thing I want to talk about for Deshawn and everybody else here, temptation of gummy candies and ramen noodles. He loves ramen noodles. Ramen noodles are good. I understand, Deshawn. So this is for Deshawn, but also for everybody else. If you have foods that you like, include them and eat them within your calories. Because here's the thing. It's better if you just have it now than if you tell yourself you can't have it, you over-restrict yourself from it, and then when you do have it, you don't have it in moderation, you binge on it and overeat it because you've restricted yourself from it, and you also know you're going to go back to not being allowed to have it. So you try to have all of it at that moment in time. It's kind of like shaking up a soda can. If you have a soda can and that's like your cravings, and you tell yourself, no, I'm not allowed to have this. You shake up the can. And then you say again, no, I'm not allowed to have this. I can't have ramen noodles. You shake up the can. Because you will. You will have the ramen noodles. When you eat them, you've shaken up this can for 10 days straight. So when you open it, what's going to happen? It's going to fucking explode everywhere. So to avoid that, just open the can without shaking it up. I also like to say this with like a cravings scale. So when you get cravings, on a scale of 1 to 10, when you first get a craving, maybe it's a 3, a 4, a 5. You're like, hey, I could really go for this right now. But if you tell yourself, no, I'm not allowed to have it, that then goes to a 6, a 7, or an 8. And then again, you say, no, I really want this, but I'm not allowed to have this. Again, you go from a 6, 7, and 8 to a 9 or a 10. And then finally, when you do have the craving, because it's at a 9 or a 10, you have a 9 or a 10 response, aka overeating. So to avoid that, just handle the craving when it's at a 4 and you have some in moderation, you work within your calories and you move on with the rest of your day. You'll have a 4 response if you take care of it when it's at a 4, if that makes sense. All right, I hope this video helped you. And again, you can click the links below to get a free calorie calculator, to get a free submission of your plan, and if you're interested in my online coaching program. And next, you can watch this video here for all the things I wish I knew before lifting weights.